I want you to try to imagine what it would be like if you were standing in the middle of New York City when the first motorized vehicle was seen driving down the middle of the dirt road that was probably Broadway or Park Avenue. And you can imagine everybody looking up at this contraption and saying, oh my God, what is this thing? One wonders if people really came to understand whether or not that was going to really change the world. And I suggest to you that that's probably the same way that people are going to look retrospectively back when we see what's happened with the internet. The law had to react to the horseless carriage. So tell me, if you will, give me some ideas of how do you think the law had to deal with this newfangled invention of the horseless carriage? What did we have to take a look at? Safety? Sure. Let's do it one time. Safety is absolutely true, but there's more than safety within it. Safety may very well be the broad category, and I agree with you 100%. You mentioned insurance. Absolutely, insurance tied into that safety connection. But let's try to be a little bit more specific. What do you think the law had to do? It had to react to things like, how about traffic control? Who goes first? Anything else come to mind?
Sanitation.
Sanitation, I understand that. That's very true. How about speed limits? How about which side of the street you drive on? Okay. How about what you do with respect to passengers? Where are you allowed to put the car? Where can you park it? The law had to react to all of this stuff. And in the meantime, most people don't appreciate how many people were killed in the very earliest days of horseless carriage because they did not understand how quickly the horseless carriage could go. Pardon me. And they all had to react to it. And the worst part about it is that the law, unfortunately, reacted too slowly. And the reason why the law acts too slowly is because it can't react any quicker. They say that it takes 2 miles for a battleship to be able to turn itself around because of how big it is. Well, the law is infinitely slower than that. The law moves at a very, very slow pace, and we lawyers are having difficulty, quite frankly, reacting to the law as it relates to social media. And so what we're doing is we're trying to play catch-up all the time. Now, part of the problem is that in order for a law to take effect, there's an awful lot of things that have to take place. First of all, somebody's got to conceive of the law, someone's got to introduce it. It's got to go through the political process, and you all know the political process is what it is. And then ultimately, the law has to get vetted. It has to be looked at by people and then ultimately passed. The issue here in the social media is that every day is like a year in terms of things that are taking place. It's just moving so incredibly fast. You all know that you take a look at it, they don't talk anymore in terms of days and months and years. They have a whole new concept of computer time, things moving so much faster. I just bought my new laptop about 2 weeks ago, and much to my chagrin, I read in one of the computer magazines that my laptop is being replaced, which I thought was the top of the line, is now being replaced in the next 4 weeks by one that's even lighter, faster, and bigger. Go figure that. So the marketing world is having a hard time keeping up. You can only imagine about what the law has to keep up with. Now, the area of the law that is most affected by social media is called intellectual property. And intellectual property has 3 major components. They are patents, trademarks, and copyrights. Now, let me give you an idea about how all of those 3 major areas of the law come together. If you ever had the opportunity to take a look at a Rolls Royce and you saw the hood ornament, the winged angel, That's one of the few items in our society which enjoys all three levels of protection: patent, copyright, and trademark. It is a patent because it was the very first hood ornament that was placed on a car, so it was a brand new idea. It's a trademark because it is an indication of source. It lets you know who this manufacturer is of this vehicle. We know it's Rolls-Royce because of that. And it's copyrighted because it's a piece of art. And so since it has artistic value to it, it has one of the few opportunities available to be able to encompass all three areas of intellectual property. Within the computer world and social media, we are primarily concerned with two areas: copyright and trademark. Let's deal with trademark first. After you leave here today, if you decide that you need an extra cup of coffee, and you walk outside and you see a Dunkin' Donuts, and you go in there and buy a cup of coffee, probably one of the reasons why you're walking into Dunkin' Donuts is because they have barraged us with media telling us how great their coffee is. So has Starbucks. The reason why all of this happens is because they are trying to persuade each of us that their product is superior. It may be superior because of taste, it may be superior because of cost, but in any event, it's superior. That has gotten a whole new language to it. Up until the last 5 or 7 years, they were referred to these things as logos. Now everybody's talking about, the big word is branding. Everything is being branded. Whenever you hear a word saying, well, we're trying to brand this product, you should say to yourself, in essence, they're talking about trademarks. That's really what they're all about. Now, a trademark is valuable because it is the same product. You get the same underlying product wherever you go. Now, if you are a person who loves Big Macs, as unhealthy as they may be, if you love Big Macs and you're on vacation in Spokane, Washington, and you've never been to Spokane, Washington before, but you've grown up in New Jersey, and you make sure that once a week you end up having your Big Mac, and now all of a sudden you're out in Spokane, Washington, and you want a Big Mac. You go into the Big Mac store, McDonald's, Golden Arches, and you say, I want my Big Mac, and you bite into it. Your expectation is that that Big Mac is going to taste exactly the same as the Big Mac you bought here in New Jersey. That's important. The reason why it's important is because they're looking for consistency in the brand. Similarly, if you're interested in having a frozen Snickers bar, you want to make sure that wherever you buy that Snickers bar, that it's going to taste the same. It's true with cars, it's true with clothes, it's true with anything. There is an expectation in terms of advertising that the product is going to meet a particular standard. No different in social media. No different in social media. When you open up and you get on MySpace or you get on LinkedIn, you have an expectation of what you're going to see. You have an expectation of what that site is going to do for you. And if it doesn't do it for you, that has an impact on the branding. And so one of the issues here in social media is this trademark aspect of it, because they want to make sure that when you see a social media site, it's consistent time and time again. You have an expectation. For example, you all know it when you go ahead and Google somebody, you know what you're looking for. You type a person's name in, you have an expectation that you're going to get a particular result. In that particular case, Googling would be called a service mark because you're not necessarily getting a product like you would in a trademark, but you're getting a service mark. And of course, it should be patently obvious why this is so important, because this is what differentiates one from another. Why are they paying billions of dollars to buy these websites and locations from people? It's because the name means something and it has a value to it. Now, of course, up until the development of internet sites, there was never a protection for any of these kinds of trademarks. And so the law had to scurry around and try to come up with the fact that you were protected. You know, there was a huge, huge problem in the law as it relates to this subject